If you've been hurt in a vehicle crash, if you've been injured in a slip and fall on someone else's property, if you've been bit by an animal that isn't yours, you can make an insurance claim to have some, if not all, of your medical bills paid, whether you're at fault or not. And I bet you didn't know that, did you? Well, it's true, provided you have the coverage on your automobile policy, or the commercial property owner has it on their commercial policy, or the homeowner has it on their homeowner's insurance policy. You can make a claim. Hi, I'm Dave Buckley. I'm a personal injury attorney. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Medpay, and that's short for medical payments. Medpay is an insurance coverage where your out-of-pocket medical expenses will be covered up to the policy limit of that particular insurance plan, assuming that plan has a Medpay provision. Some states like New Hampshire require that everyone who has car insurance also has a minimum of $1,000 in MedPay coverage. In other states like Massachusetts, well, they make it an option. Some homeowner policies offer MedPay as part of their basic coverage. Some don't, and the homeowner has to pay extra for it. Some commercial policies, like for stores and restaurants, offer MedPay as part of their basic coverage. Some don't, and the business owner has to pay extra for it. And what makes MedPay a big deal is that liability doesn't have to be determined, meaning fault isn't an issue, meaning it doesn't matter if you're at fault for causing your own injuries or that someone else is. Fault doesn't have to be figured out. You still get to make a claim for MedPay coverage, and here's how it works. Let's say you crashed your car into a phone pole and no other driver is involved, and you incurred out-of-pocket medical expenses. You can make a claim on your own policy if you have MedPay coverage. If another car crashed into you and you incurred out-of-pocket medical expenses, you can make a claim on your own policy if you have MedPay. If a passenger in your vehicle was hurt in a crash and incurred medical expenses, they can make a claim on your auto policy if you have MedPay. If you're a passenger in someone else's vehicle and hurt in a crash and incurred medical expenses, you can make a claim on their auto policy if they have MedPay. If you slipped and fell at a store, a restaurant, a commercial building, someone else's house, and you incurred out-of-pocket medical expenses, you can make a claim on their insurance policy, assuming they have MedPay. If you were bit by an animal at someone else's house and you incurred out-of-pocket medical expenses, you can make a claim on their homeowner's policy if they have MedPay. Now, MedPay coverage only covers what you had to pay out of pocket for injuries related to the crash or the fall or the animal bite. Things like copays for medical appointments, copays for medications, out-of-pocket payments because you have a deductible. Transportation expenses for Ubers and taxis and buses are even covered by MedPay. You can get mileage reimbursed for using your own car. You can get money for the ambulance bill. And don't get me going on ambulance bills. Everyone gets an ambulance bill, even if you do have insurance coverage, because ambulance rides are always considered out of network. And by the way, if you get an ambulance bill, you should always submit it to your medical insurance company to see if they'll pay it. Anyway, how do you get paid? Well, it's a little tricky, so pay attention, write it down if you have to. You know, it makes a difference if you are seeking reimbursement for a day of injury treatment or seeking reimbursement for some medical treatment at some other time that is not day of injury. To get reimbursed for day of injury treatment, you need only to submit to your own vehicle insurance company or the property owner's insurance company any bill, any receipt, any statement, or anything that proves you received day of injury treatment that has a dollar amount on it. That's the ambulance service, the emergency department, the walk-in clinic, any documentation that shows what it costs for the treatment works. But if you have bills for things happening after the day of injury treatment and you want to be reimbursed, the process changes. That's when you need to provide more documentation. If you have bills after you've already been seen for the first time, you have to provide two things. One, an actual itemized bill from the provider, not a statement, you know, the thing you get in the mail, not a receipt like what you get at a grocery store, not a crunched up, torn, coffee-stained piece of paper with a handwritten dollar amount on it, but an actual itemized bill for service that shows all of the detail of what you were charged for. And if you don't have that, just ask the provider for it and they'll give it to you for free. And two, you need to provide a medical record for that day of service treatment. Again, just ask the provider for it if you don't have it, and they'll give it to you free of charge. So 2 things for reimbursement for treatment after you've already been seen for the first time are an actual itemized bill and a medical record that goes with that bill. Once that information is submitted to the insurance company, they'll review it. And if everything looks good, you'll get reimbursed for your out-of-pocket medical expenses up to the maximum amount on your vehicle policy or the other person's policy. Which, while I have your attention, I highly recommend that you check all of your policies and get the most Medpay coverage you can afford. Like my mother says, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I'm Dave Buckley. I'm a personal injury attorney. I hope you're never injured to a point where you have to request Medpay coverage, but I'm here if you do. I have lots of videos on personal injury, so please watch those. And there is also a free ebook. Hit the link for even more things you should know about personal injury. Thanks for watching.